There is no person inside, no something solid you can call a self that makes a decision. Suppose, monks, that a magician or a magician's apprentice would display a magical illusion at a crossroads. A man with good sight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in a magical illusion? So too, monks, whatever kind of consciousness there is, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, a monk inspects it, ponders it, and carefully investigates it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in consciousness? I'll stop here for a moment. So here, consciousness conjures up dream. Every time we see ourselves, one lifetime after another lifetime, like Tai Hei, a show, just like our dreams. Every time we dream, we see ourselves in that dream. Only when we wake up, then we realize it was only a dream. So in the same way, consciousness conjures up these dreams of us, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So the Buddha gives the simile of a magician. He creates an illusion, and if you don't understand, if you don't know he's a magician, you think it's real. The only thing it takes some time to realize that it's just an illusion. So the Buddha says life is also an illusion, just like a dream, one lifetime after another. It's only that when we are inside the dream, we don't realize. So now we are in the dream of life, we don't realize that it's actually just a play of consciousness, what the Hindus call Maya. An illusion. Seeing thus, monks, the learned noble disciple experiences revulsion towards body, revulsion towards feeling, revulsion towards perception, revulsion towards volition, revulsion towards consciousness. Experiencing revulsion, he becomes dispassionate. Through dispassion, his mind is liberated. When it is liberated, there comes the knowledge it's liberated. He understands, destroyed is birth. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more for the state of being. This is what the Blessed One said. Having said this, the Fortunate One, the teacher, further said, form is like a lump of foam, feeling like a water bubble. Perception is like a mirage. Volition is like a banana tree. And consciousness like an illusion. So explain the kinsman of the sun. Kinsman of the sun is a Angirasa. However one may ponder it and carefully investigate it, it appears but hollow and void when one views it carefully. With reference to this body, the one of broad wisdom has taught that with the abandoning of three things, one sees this body discarded. When vitality, heat and consciousness departs from this physical body, then it lies there cast away, food for others without volition. Such is this continuum, this illusion, beguiler of fools. It is taught to be a murderer. Here no substance can be found. A monk with energy aroused should look upon the aggregates thus, whether by day or at night, comprehending, ever mindful. He should discard all the fetters and make a refuge for himself. Let him fare as with head ablaze, yearning for the imperishable state. That's the end. So here the Buddha says, when the body is discarded, three things leave the body. Vitality, means vital energy, heat, body heat, and consciousness. So sometimes the doctor says a person has died. He has not died as long as the body is warm. When a person really dies, then the body becomes cold. So here the Buddha says that life is an illusion. Fools are tricked. And these 5 aggregates are like a murderer. So the problem is with most people, our minds are muddled up, our minds are not focused, blur as they say. So we go through life not seeing things clearly. And because our mind has tricked us, so we have these natural tendencies towards greed, hatred and delusion, and we don't see the consequence clearly. But when we learn the Dhamma and then we train our mind to focus, when our mind becomes focused and then we see it differently. A person with a focused mind, he sees things very clearly. Then things become plain, so evident that we see things clearly, then we know what to do, and we have the strength of mind to do it. If your mind is blur, you don't have the strength. Not only that you can't see clearly, you don't have the strength to do what you should do also. Okay, another sutta 22.96 at Savatthi. A certain monk came to see the Buddha, and then sitting to one side, that monk said to the Blessed One, "Venerable Sir, is there any body that is permanent, stable, eternal, not subject to change, and that will remain the same, just like eternity itself? Is there, Venerable Sir, any feeling, perception, volition or consciousness that is permanent, stable, eternal, not subject to change, and that will remain the same, just like eternity itself?" And the Buddha said, "Monk, there is no body that is permanent, stable, eternal, not subject to change, and that will remain the same, just like eternity itself. There is no feeling, no perception, no volition, no consciousness that is permanent, stable, eternal, not subject to change, and that will remain the same, just like eternity itself." And stop here for a moment. A lot of us, a lot of people, out of ignorance, we like to believe that there is like a Kuan Yin Bodhisattva is permanently there that will help us when we need help, or any master medicine Buddha or Amitabha Buddha or any God or anything that is any being, some super being that will help us when we need help. But the Buddha says that all beings will have to die, one day. You cannot find a being that is eternal. Then the Blessed One took up a little lump of cow dung in his hand and said to that monk, "Monk, there is not even this much individual existence that is permanent, stable, eternal, not subject to change, and that will remain the same, just like eternity itself. If there was this much individual existence that was permanent, stable, eternal, not subject to change, this living of the holy life for the complete destruction of suffering could not be discerned. But because there is not even this much individual existence that is permanent, stable, eternal, not subject to change, thus living of the holy life for the complete destruction of suffering is discerned." Stop here for a moment. So the Buddha is saying that there's nothing that is unchanging. Even a little lump of cow dung, so small, you cannot find any type of being or what, even so small, that has eternal life. The Buddha says, if there is, then there would not be this holy life that is taught for us to get out of samsara, for us to get out of the world. Because the world is full of suffering. There is nothing in the world that you can find permanent happiness. If there is something, or something even so small that will give you permanent happiness, then there's no need to get out of the world, because there isn't. That's why the Buddha says this holy life is lived to get out of this samsara. And the Buddha said, "In the past, monk, I was a head anointed Khattiya king. I had 84,000 cities, the chief of which was the capital Kusavati. I had 84,000 palaces, the chief of which was the palace named Dhamma. I had 84,000 halls with peaked roofs, the chief of which was the hall named the Great Array. I had 84,000 couches made of ivory, of hardwood, of gold and silver, decked with long-haired coverlets, embroidered with flowers, with choice spreads made of antelope hides, with red awnings overhead and red cushions at both ends. I had 84,000 bull elephants with golden ornaments and golden banners, covered with nets of golden thread, the chief of which was the royal bull elephant named Uposatha. I had 84,000 steeds with golden ornaments and golden banners, covered with nets of golden thread, the chief of which was the royal steed named Valahaka. I had 84,000 chariots with golden ornaments and golden banners, covered with nets of golden thread, the chief of which was the chariot named Vijayanta. I had 84,000 jewels, the chief of which was the jewel gem. I had 84,000 women, the chief of which was Queen Subhadra. I had 84,000 vessels of the Katya caste, the chief of whom was the commander gem. I had 84,000 cows with tethers of fine jute and milk pails of bronze. I had 84,000 kotis of garments made of fine linen, of fine silk, of fine wool, of fine cotton. I had 84,000 plates on which my meals were served both in the morning and in the evening. Of those 84,000 cities, monk, there was only one city in which I resided at that time, the capital Kusavati. Of those 84,000 palaces, there was only one palace in which I resided at that time, the palace named Dhamma. Of those 84,000 halls with peaked roof, there was only one hall with peaked roof in which I resided at that time, the hall named the Great Array. Of those 84,000 couches, there was only one couch that I used at that time, one made either of ivory or of hardwood or of gold or of silver. Of those 84,000 elephants, there was only one elephant that I rode at that time, the royal bull elephant named Uposatha. Of those 84,000 steeds, there was only one steed that I rode at that time, the royal steed named Valahaka. Of those 84,000 chariots, there was only one chariot that I rode at that time, the chariot named Vijayanta. Of those 84,000 women, there was only one woman who waited on me at that time, either a Katya maiden or a Velamika maiden. This Velamika is a maiden born of a Katya royal warrior clan and a Brahmin. Of those 84,000 kotis of garments, there was only one pair of garments that I wore at that time, one made either of fine linen or of fine silk or of fine wool or of fine cotton. Of those 84,000 plates, there was only one plate from which I ate at most, a measure of rice with a suitable curry. Thus, monk, all these conditioners have passed, ceased, changed. So impermanent are conditioners, monks. Conditioners here is sankhara. So unstable, so unreliable. It is enough, monks, to feel revulsion towards all conditioners, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to be liberated from them. That's the end of the sutta. These conditioners here refers to things in the world. All the things in the world are conditioners as well as conditioned things. So here the Buddha, sometimes he likes to think back about this life when he was a wheel-turning king. He was a universal monarch. He was king of the whole earth. And that life was a very beautiful life. He enjoyed it so much. So he sometimes was a bit sentimental about it. Think about it. So much so that when the Buddha was about to pass away, he went to a particular place and Ananda didn't understand why he went to such a ulu, way out place, and the Buddha says it's because this used to be his capital when he was a universal monarch, king of the whole earth. This was